Alright guys, today we're doing a tour of my boat here. This is a 1973 Correct Craft Ski Martinique. Supposed to be the more Cadillac version of the Ski Nautique, so it's very, very close twin. This one I picked up a few months ago, and it's been slightly modified. The first thing you may notice is that it's on a non-original trailer. This is a 2001 home-built trailer, and the previous owner recently did all new axles and hubs on that about 3 years ago. The other thing, moving to the boat, you can see that it is a non-original color. So one of the previous owners had this repainted to a Chevy color. I don't know the exact color, but they wanted to match their Corvette or Camaro from the 90s, so it's a 90s Chevy color that fades down to a black. Obviously probably done about 20 years ago, needs to be redone, but it is not gel coated as paint. We'll move around to the back. The previous owner had this, deck built out of that poly wood. That's plastic and sawdust. This one appears to be a lot more plastic, so that would theoretically last forever. It's not quite my style, but it is very well built. It's got welded brackets on it as well. Underneath we can see our propeller. This is a direct drive boat and rudder. There are various paint imperfections. Looks like a patch was done here, so it's starting to have some imperfections and stuff, and there's several rock chips as well as other chips. The paint on this was originally a lime green gel coat. As you can see, it was not completely removed, so that may have been part of the reason why the paint's not sticking as well as it should. But the hull is still structurally good, no through holes or anything like that. Previous owner installed these aftermarket horns, which are really nice, and they had it for several years, so they've got all of their boat passes, which I figure I'll leave on there. We have believe it's one of the Amazon ski towers. It works pretty well. A lot of people don't like the ski towers on older boats, as that kind of started, in the 90s, so for something that's 70s or 80s, there'll be a lot of people who will just really dislike that. But for now, I'm leaving it on there. So we come into the interior. Obviously, you can tell this is non-original. The previous owner had this redone when they bought it, so it is probably 6 years old now. And the previous owner did use this boat a lot, much like myself, taking it out at least every couple of weeks, if not every week. Mine is still full with all of the stuff that we need when we go to the lake, so bear that in mind. It has not been cleaned since I had it. I do want to clean the vinyl out really well, as it's mostly in good shape. The worst of it is a tear on the side here, and then some seam splitting right there. And then the passenger chair has been flipped around. I believe originally it would be forward facing, but I prefer this way because it gives a good spot for your spotter to sit if you're towing a tube or something, and more room to move up to your driver's seat. The previous owner did raise the chair, and it is adjustable forward and backward. It's starting to crack on that plastic there, so probably in the off season we're going to have a all new metal, probably aluminum bracket built to get this where it needs to be. So it does give you quite a bit of extra height, so you're not looking through the windshield, you're looking over it while driving, which I would prefer to do that for better visibility, you know. All of the gauges are original besides the GPS speedometer. All of them work except the RPM is not accurate. It will go up, but it will not be reading accurately. And the hour meter has stopped at 609 hours shortly before the previous owner bought it, so we're thinking it's probably around 1,500 hours at this point. My cable probably needs to be replaced soon. After driving all day, there's a couple of times where basically the neutral will move around and you end up having to push this lever all the way forward to kind of reset where the neutral is. So the cables are due for a change after this season. But other than that, we'll go over the engine real quick. So this is a Ford-built Palmer 351, 255 horsepower. I don't know too much about the Palmer series at all. If you look up Palmer motors, you'll come up with a bunch of 1920s and 1930s, like single diesel engines. So I really have no idea what Palmer is, but as far as I know, it's based on the Ford 351. The previous owner has had a lot of work done to it. It's been converted to electric ignition, new alternator, new starter, couple of other odds and ends. All of that looks new right there. Recently rebuilt Holley carb 4-barrel. We do have issues starting a little bit. I have to spray some starter fluid pretty much every time, and usually it will fire right up if it's nice and warm outside. We have an electric choke on this side, but it is not hooked up. Not really a point to. I just, once it gets started, I'll pull the idle up to about $2,000 for a couple minutes before we start taking off. Recently, unfortunately, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we did lose reverse on this. This is a Borg Warner 71C Velvet Drive transmission, and those can be rebuilt pretty cheap or just buy one that someone's already remanufactured for about $1,000. So that's going to be done after this off season, as reverse isn't a huge deal. Just have to make sure the dock is pretty clear when loading. So other than that, that's the only issue I've been having. Pretty good boat. I mean, simple engine, easy to work on. You'll find these things running forever. In fact, this may be an original engine. I have no idea. But this thing runs great. I end up putting some lead treatment in the gas. So that is something that you have to worry about on these. But other than that, it's got a 16-gallon tank, which gives me probably about 2 hours of cruising, which is unfortunate. It's a little bit small in my opinion, but it is right here in the back. I'm not sure if it would be possible to upgrade that or not. But I'm planning to work on this this off season. Probably looking at doing a refreshed engine soon, either rebuilt or just buy one that's already been remanufactured. But we really have no issues with the engine other than we have to keep an eye on the oil sometimes. Overall, pretty unique and rare boat to find nowadays. If you find a good condition one, these things can be touching $20,000 no problem. So Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick walk around of the new boat, and we'll definitely have some more videos coming up soon on this.